If you're unable to make it or if you want to share this workshop with somebody, it is on our YouTube page. Our YouTube name is Bicultural. But welcome everybody. Thank you all for being here. This is our fourth workshop for the Bicultural and Healthcare Career Pathway Speaker Series. We have a very special guest today. We have two special guests today, and I'll introduce them in just a second. But as per usual, let's keep the Q&A till the end of the presentation. We'll have some time. If your questions don't get answered, please leave them in the chat. We'll copy paste them and then get those answered for you. So let's go ahead and get started. This is our team and our mission. Misera and Navi are unable to make it today due to their work, but they send hello to everybody. And we're going to go ahead and get started with a heart math exercise, and we do ask that you participate. This is something that was put together and is commonly used at Kaiser, so I'm just going to go ahead and play it.
All right, we're going to shift and take charge and find.
I'm sorry, are you able to hear that? No? Okay. Let's just go ahead and skip it. Let's just go ahead and skip it if we're unable to hear it, just because the troubleshooting might take a little longer. But this video is up on our YouTube page and it's called Heart Math, okay? And then, so today, as we know, we show this every time. We have here a chart of different career paths. And today we're going to be talking about a career path right over here on this end, which requires a longer time of education. So we're going to be learning about public health and how important is public health careers right now, especially in the middle of a pandemic. Sorry, let me start my video. So I would just like to go ahead and introduce Dr. Shane Paff, who is a doctor of medicine and a public health practitioner intern with the County of Marin Department of Health and Human Services. And I will shift the focus over to you.
Hi, everyone. I am very excited to share my career pathway journey with all of you. I've got a couple nieces about your age that I'm trying to inspire and encourage to go the health field. So my name is Shane Paff, and the other special guest is right here, my baby boy. He's almost a year old. Hopefully he won't be as big of a troublemaker. He's usually a happy, calm baby, but we shall see. And I currently, I'm a doctor in medicine. I have my doctorate in medicine and my MPH, my master's in public health. And I'm interning right now. It's my first year working for the County of Marin Department of Health and Human Services, which is the public health branch in the county. So I was invited by Musetta to share with you my journey in getting my medical education using the international route. So this presentation will be about bilingual, bicultural medical education, and also giving you guys an overview of what the public health profession is all about. Next slide, please. So I was asked what inspired me, and I want to share that it's really my families and my relatives from the beginning that inspired me to go into healthcare, somewhere in the health field. My mom is a wonderful, amazing registered nurse, ICU nurse at Kaiser in San Francisco. And I have an aunt who's a physician in the Philippines, and then several other aunties that are nurses all over the world. So I was inspired by them. In high school, I started looking into it, and I thought I really wanted to go into medicine, thinking that that was the best route to make a big impact in people's health. And so I went on that track, focused on that track, and then went on to college. And I got my bachelor's degree in psychology and biology at Sonoma State University, so locally here in the county. That was back in 2005. And you do not have to pick a major in the sciences. I believe Dr. Therese Thompson has already shared this. You can do whatever major you want during your undergrad studies, maybe in music and the fine arts, anything really to get your bachelor's degree. But you do have to meet the requirement, the prerequisites of the medical schools you are hoping to get into, and then also make the good GPA. And then after college, I really wanted to see if public service in the capacity of a physician was the right thing for me. So I signed up on this backpacking medical mission trip for a summer in Mexico. And it's through this organization called International Service Learning. Check them out. They're around, and they can give you a letter of recommendation when it's time to apply to med schools. But this was really the moment where I realized this is what I want to do. This is it. I'm going for it, because embarking on a journey to get into medical school and go through that and complete that and take the exams, which I will show you in the next few slides, is a big commitment, investment of your time and money, and in your life, really, because it's a lot of years. So, and then also, I just really have this drive to see change, to improve health equity, the distribution of health services for all. Seeing just disparities in the way people have access to healthcare. And I can't leave out my other inspiration, which are my children. The other three are not here. They are in preschool and school. But I wanted to ensure that I can be a part of a workforce that can somehow influence change, positive change for the future. Not only in my local community, but also the world, because we're all connected. So that's about it for this slide, Daisy. So this might be a little bit intimidating, but let me just go through it step by step. And I don't know if Daisy can share this slide if you guys find this helpful. But from my understanding, you guys are all high school students or in that age range. And the next step would be applying to post-secondary education, which is college, and to get an undergrad degree. After that, then you think about applying to medical school. So I really kind of want to touch on when you're in college or even before college, if you're doing some kind of self-reflection or analysis of what you want to do, it's great to start in high school. Because once you get into college, that's the start of your marathon, your race to med school and getting your medical degree and then your license. So once you're in college, again, like I said, pick the field of focus that you are really interested in. But you also need to do your research about the medical schools that you're interested in and what they require, the requirements that you have to meet for them while you are in college. And then there's also the big test called the MCAT that you need to take and score really well on. That's going to be your third or fourth year of college. And then about the same time you start applying to medical school. So medical school, there's two routes that you can go to, that you can choose from. The one is traditional United States of America medical school route, which typically runs for 4 years. And then there's the international route, which is the route that I took. Now, after med school, during those 4 years of medical school, you are preparing for rigorous examinations. that there's no way around them. You have to take them and pass them. And these are called the United States Medical Licensing Exams, USMLE, or more commonly known among people that are taking this test is called the STEP exams. And there's a total of 4 of them that you will be preparing for during your years in medical school. They cost a lot of money, a lot of time investment. Each exam is 8 to 9 hours with, breaks here and there, 5-10 minute breaks here and there, but it's a timed exam. And these are the exams that get you to residency and eventually your medical license. And so both routes require you to do that. And then after that, once you complete all those exams, then you apply to residency and you complete your training. And your residency, you will pick, be it in family medicine or psychiatry or pediatrics or surgery or dermatology and all those branches in medicine that you will learn while you're in medical school, or probably already are learning during in your high school years. And then after that, you take the last USMLE Step 3 exam. And then you move on to getting your license. Now, I have this square right here called board certification in your specialty of choice. And that is kind of optional. And I say optional because you can practice as a physician without being board certified. But it is highly looked down upon if you don't have board certification in your specialty. So a lot of physicians do take that. So that's kind of the traditional US route. Now, to touch on the route that I took, so it's very similar, except for there's an additional 1 year. So you go to a different country, basically, for medical school. I went to Guadalajara, in Mexico. It's called UAG, Universidad Autónoma de Guadalajara, or commonly known as UAG. They've been around, they've been accredited for 30-something years by the US licensing exam or licensure for medicine. So there, you can trust them. So you go there and you do your 4 years, and then you come back to the States for 1 year of hospital clinical rotation or clinic rotation. That is required for you to be eligible to apply to residencies here in America, which is what you want to do. So you do that. So I spent my year in Las Vegas, Nevada, and do your they call it pre-internship year. This is needed to complete the certification called ECFMG, and it's a whole acronym for Commission of Foreign Medical Graduates. This is basically your ticket to coming back to the States and apply to residency programs here in the States for the specialty of choice, your choice. So you do all that, and then basically the same process as the US route. So I wanted to touch on what's the difference. Well, the length of time that you to obtain your doctorate in medicine is longer than in the US. It's a year, 1 extra year. The cost is a lot cheaper. You are still eligible to apply for student loans if you go to the international medical schools. And but it's like half the price of US medical schools. And the kind of not so good part about this is that if you do choose that route, you really have to score really high on your STEP exams to be as competitive as the US graduates. And I'll share some success stories of my friends so that you guys will not be turned off from this option. And the other plus is that you get bilingual education. I went down to Mexico knowing pretty much zero Spanish. I took French in high school, which is useless if you don't go to a French-speaking country. But I loved the sound of the language, so I did that. But I had zero Spanish going to Mexico, and I spent almost a year doing going to classes for to get efficient in Spanish before I started my medical school education. And once you do that, you really feel confident that you can you have more connection you can connect more to people that may not speak the English language. Next slide, please, Daisy. Okay, so I went to this school called UAG, and the first 2 years, the instruction will be in English, so you won't get lost. Because I did not have any Spanish the first time I went there. But it's all in English the first 2 years, your classes. However, you will be sent to community clinics your very first semester as a medical student at this school. So when you go there, a lot of the people, well, let's just say all the people will not be speaking to you in English. They will be mainly just Spanish speaking only. So if you don't have Spanish under your belt, then you will have to rely on your peers to translate for you, which will become challenging. But it's not impossible. I have friends who did not take Spanish before starting their medical education, and they did fine. The last 2 years of those 4 years, you will go to their teaching hospital called Hospital Angeliano. And that's where you will do your core clinical rotations at that hospital. Now, your classes will then be in Spanish. And your exams, your tests, your quizzes will be in Spanish. So this is where it can get hard if you don't apply your linguistic skills into acquiring the Spanish language, which for me, it was a passion to learn different languages. So it came easy and enjoyable. So that's the 4 years. And then I talked about how you add an extra year when you come back to the States and get that ECFMG certification by doing 1 year at a hospital. Now, I do want to touch on this green that were by their electives. The last two semesters of if you do this program, you actually have an option to come back to the States and do your last 2 semesters in the States at a hospital here. Now, I know for a fact that Kaiser Permanente Santa Rosa, as well as Sutter, the Sutter Santa Rosa Hospital here, they have a program for medical senior students to come back and do what they call clerkships. So that's an option that you can do too if you come back to the States. And that is actually highly recommended. I did not know that, but it really makes your application for residency stand out more that you came back to the States and did your clerkships here. All right, next slide, please. Okay, so these are just pictures, hopefully inspiring. The cool thing, what I thought about my education in Guadalajara, Mexico at UAG is that not only did I gain an extra language to use, and I can communicate in Spanish with people, I can write in Spanish. So aside from that acquisition of an extra language, you get to learn clinical skills right from the get-go, right from the beginning. And it's really all about how tenacious and how much grit you have. All right, Malachi wants to join us. Come here. There you go. How tenacious you want to be to acquire those clinical skills. For me, I really wanted to get clinical skills. So right from my first semester, I was doing Foley's, which is not like, whoa, but US med students don't get to do that until third, fourth year. And I got to do that my first semester. I was drawing blood. I was taught how to do IV lines. And then when I did my rotation in emergency medicine, I got to do blood draws, radial artery blood draws, and just really cool things that a lot of the US med students don't get to do until their last year or last semester. My first day in my OB/GYN rotation, which is obstetrics and gynecology, I delivered a baby. My first day. My legs were shaking. My legs were shaking, and this is that picture right there taken by one of my friends. And it was an exciting moment. It was actually one of those aha moment. And what made me really push me to choose family medicine as a specialty, because you can do all sorts of things. It's broad, but you can also focus on maternal care, like delivering babies. You get to ride in ambulances during your ER rotation or your internal medicine rotation, depending on which clinic you get assigned. And that's my colleagues right there. And you get to do a lot of things, and you form rich friendships because you meet people, students from all over the United States or all over the world. I had classmates that were from Japan, um, Korea, like France. Yeah, so I had classmates that were from all over the world, and it's really just neat to see that you can form that bond from people with different backgrounds. Next slide, please. So just success stories. I know when I decided to choose this route, because I didn't want to wait an extra year or two to apply to U.S. med schools, I was really nervous about it because I've heard, oh, it's gonna make you less competitive for residency and things like that. But that's really not the case. And I have some success stories here to inspire you guys. And these are all my friends, my colleagues. I graduated with them. We have the first one right here is Dr. Lopez, and she's a pediatrician now. She's been practicing for the last 3 years, or 4 actually. And then we have Dr. Roybal, who is in Texas. I'm sorry, he's in New Mexico, but he did his residency in Texas. Dr. Escobar, who's finishing up her residency training in internal medicine from Alabama, and she will be going into a fellowship in oncology. And a fellowship is an extra training after your residency training if you want to really focus on a certain subspecialty in medicine, such as oncology, or for Dr. Stone right here. She was the pageant queen of our medical school. She finished her internal medicine residency last year and started her cardiology fellowship in Texas. So here's those success stories. I think I have a couple more, Daisy. And then a few more. This is Dr. Rebels. He and I did our community medicine rotation together in Mexico, and he's now a family medicine at Kaiser Permanente in San Diego, but he did his residency in Vermont. And then we have Dr. Tanner, or her married name is Walsh, but she's now the chief staff of pediatrics in Pennsylvania. And then we have Dr. Sanchez, who's actually the husband of Dr. Escobar. He finished his residency a few years ago, and will be starting his neuromuscular medicine residency in North Carolina. And then we have Dr. Vasquez, Ayana Vasquez, who's similar like me, MD, MPH. So she went the public health practitioner route, and she's in New York. So just to show you that you can be successful choosing the international medical school journey. Next slide, please. So onto the public health. I think Daisy posted information about what that is. So what it is it's different from medicine in that medicine is more focused on treating the health condition, whereas public health is really geared towards preventative measures before the health condition occurs. So that's the big part of it. And it's all into research, emergency preparedness, disease prevention, like what's big right now, right? COVID-19 outbreaks. Currently, my job right now is epidemiology and analysis, surveillance of the transmission rates. It's broad. It's all about the health of the public. A lot of policy making is involved and law. So it's really different from medicine, but it all ties in, So that's public health, and preventing people from getting sick, promoting wellness, promoting health, conducting scientific research. So if you're interested in data collection, data analysis, this is a good route avenue to apply those skills and interests. And if you want to look into that, that's a good website right there, American Public Health Association. So take note of that if you are interested in public health. Next slide. I think this might be the end. Oh, okay. So this is my job in public health, and I think I've mentioned already. My current job right now is analysis, surveillance, and scientific research and writing, all about COVID-19. Prior to that, I was co-managing an isolation quarantine site for COVID positive patients that were not as sick as needing like hospital care. And then also I was doing a lot of health education at their community clinics in Novato and San Rafael. And I also got to get trained in how to do health inspections for business sites, making sure they're following CDC recommended health guidelines for their customers and their employees. So how to get to public health? So you can actually get into public health with a bachelor's degree, so college degree. And then once you get your degree, then you sit for this exam called the CPH, or Certified Public Health, or you can also opt for the Certified Health Education Specialist certificate after you get your bachelor's degree. Or if you want to dive deeper into your education, or into your expertise, then you move on to the master's degree, and then the certification becomes optional because you have that master's. Or if you want to teach at a post-secondary level, like college level, then you go for the PhD, which just you add more years into getting those degrees. And there's a website right there just to get your feet wet and just look into what other options, because public health is broad. So there's a lot of job positions, job titles that all tie into public health. And then I think I mentioned to Daisy that I just wanted to put a bug in your ears. The MD route or the DO route, or even public health, they can be very long, and just a lot of investment and commitment that goes into it. But there's also a different route that you can check out. It's called the physician assistant. It's just a couple years less into education. And that's also a great career to explore, just because of the tremendous need and demand for healthcare providers that may not want to spend, you might not want to spend a lot of money or time into getting that degree. So this is another route to look into. Wow, that's it. Yeah, thank you for your time. I hope this was insightful and inspiring, and I will take questions if there's any.
Yes, thank you so much, Dr. Paff. I think it's really interesting and really important to highlight those alternative routes that one can take if someone wants to travel while they're going to school in another country, and just know that it is transferable and applicable to the United States, whether they choose to come back or not. So thank you for holding that perspective. I think a lot of us students don't know about that opportunity or option. So I think that was very cool. So we will open it up to questions. If you have questions, drop them in the chat or raise your hand. Let me stop share real quick so we can all see each other. Okay, looks like we have a question. Do you know if the international option is also available for other careers such as nursing or other health careers?
So I don't know for sure, but UAG, if you go to their website, uag.edu or something like that, you'll see other careers that they offer for an international option. I think I remember dentistry was another one, but I don't remember other things.
Thank you. And then, do you ever experience burnout during medical school?
Did I? Okay, yes. I did experience burnout in medical school. So this is my tip. I like to juggle a lot of things, and sometimes it's a success, sometimes it's not. But what I do find helpful is keeping a calendar that you really use. And to avoid the burnout, what I did was I made sure that I had something fun for my week. And that helped me a lot. I also was there with my husband, and we developed friendships with other medical school students that were family students. Like they had children while attending medical school. So just doing something fun each week while you are in med school should be a good thing for your mental health.
Thank you. Yes, self-care, very important. Okay, and another question we have is, if you could choose one specific thing, what would be the highlight or like the best thing that you take away from your career?
I think it's really the kind of impact that you can make in people's health, in people's lives, because health is a big thing of your life. If you have bad health, your life could be bad. It's kind of the base of the pyramid, right? Like if your health is suffering, then your life, your quality of life, most likely will be suffering too. So I think just knowing that you can have that capacity to, from all your education and your skills and training, that you can make an impact in that field, which is huge.
Thank you. And then we have another question, and I'll add a second part to that question because I feel like sometimes people are a little shy to ask, but it's always something that I'm interested in knowing. And as comfortable as you feel, but what is one way you save money for college? And then also, what is an average salary for someone going into public health?
Okay, so what was the first question was how to save money?
Mhm.
Okay, well, I want to say I was really blessed that my frugality helped me save up money. I worked for 3 years after college here in Santa Rosa as a social worker for a skilled nursing facility. I was able to save some money, and then also my husband is a big saver, and he offered his savings to me to cover up my first 2 years of medical school. So I only, in comparison to my colleagues, I have a fourth of their student debt. So I don't have a lot of student loans to pay up, thankfully, but interest can make it big. So I think that what would be helpful is that you have to think of it as you're a poor student. Yes, you will have student loans, so it'll look like, oh, I have money, because that can be tempting. I know I had friends that were like that, like, oh, I have money and I can just splurge. No, you have to bring your mentality, your thinking to, I'm a student. This is not my money. This is going to my education. So don't live like you're already getting a salary when you're still getting your education. That is a big thing that you need to remember. And then also just look into scholarships. Schools will have scholarships. Your community, your hospitals here, or organizations, all over the place, they offer scholarships. So look into that.
Thank you. And then we have another question. Is there other countries where you can study this career other than Mexico?
Yes. So I've heard of the Caribbean has 2 medical schools that have the international route. I also want to say Philippines has a medical school that offers this international route, but I can't say it with absolute certainty. I know I've heard. I haven't looked. I haven't researched it, but look it up. Yes.
Thank you. And then does anybody have any other questions?
Oh, I think there was one. The average salary for public health
Oh,
profession. It's all over the place. It depends what you do in public health. So an epidemiologist can make entry level, starting at like 60,000 a year is the entry level for an epidemiologist. But depending on the focus that you did while you got your master's in public health, it really depends. But yeah, it can go up to like, I don't know, 100, 120, 150. But it just really depends on what your position is.
yeah, great. Thank you so much. All right. Does anybody have any other questions? I know we're a little over our time, but I just thought this Q&A was going to be really important. But if not, thank you so much, Dr. Shane Paff. If we can all give a round of applause. Thank you so much for taking the time, and thank you for your special guest. It's always fun to see babies
Yay.
background. So everybody, just really quickly, I'm going to just launch the poll. If you could please answer it. Next week we will be having somebody from the dental field. Her name is Grecia Mora Bernal, and she works at PDI. And PDI is a nonprofit dentist organization that works to provide surgery for those kids that need surgery done in their teeth. So she will be presenting next week. We invite you all to come back. If you know anyone who's possibly interested in the dental field, go ahead and let them know. She's a registered dental assistant. So on that healthcare chart, She's more on the left side of it takes a little less time to get that degree. And she's also a community health educator, which means that she goes out into the community and educates people about health. And that's also something that you could do like at a community college, and she'll talk about that degree in case you're interested in pursuing that career. But thank you all for attending. Again, if you didn't get to, if you want to go back and see like our other physician that we had, or our nurse or CNA that's presented, check out our YouTube page. And please like us on Facebook, because we do not have enough likes and we really need some more likes in there. We only have 27 people. Come on, people. Please like our Facebook, follow our IG, and thank you so much for attending. Goodbye, y'all.